Hello students, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will teach you how to differentiate a single flower and inflorescence. There are some images shown in front of you. You can see different varieties of flowers. So, in this video, I will teach you the difference between a single flower and inflorescence and the different arrangement of flowers and what are the names given to them. We will see in detail in this video. What is a single flower? How can you define a single flower? A single flower means it is a single bloom that stands alone on a pedicel that we call as the stem rather than growing in a cluster or grouping. So, important function of this flower is it is the plant's reproductive organ seen in a flower. So, this picture is an example of a single flower. Rosa grandiflora and Narcissus pitti. This is the pedicel which holds the single flower. Here also you can see the pedicel which holds the single flower, and the flower contains the reproductive organ of a plant. In this picture we can see the different parts of a flower. So the stem which holds the flower we call it as pedicel, and in some flowers you can see the green color structure called as bract, and the colored one we call it as petals, and the green color we call it as sepal which holds the petals. And in front view we can see stamen as well as pistil. So these are the reproductive organs. Stamen means it is a male reproductive organ. Pistil means it is female reproductive organ of a plant. So stamen, it contains anther and the filament which holds the anther. And the pistil, here you can see the front part which we see in yellow color. Mainly we will see in yellow color, that is called a stigma, and the long tube-like structure we call a style which ends in a ovary, and the ovary contains the ovule. In a cross section of a flower, you can see the different parts of a flower. So the first one, the stem which holds the flower we call as pedicel, and the green color structure we call it as sepals. The other name for this is calyx, and the colored one which attracts the insects we call it as petals, that is corolla. And stamen and pistil. Stamen means male reproductive organ, pistil means female reproductive organ, and the stamen, it has anther and the filament. Pistil means style, stigma. And inside the ovary you can see the ovule, that is the egg cells of a plant. So a single flower contains these parts. Now look at this picture. You can see different varieties of flowers, and the pattern is also different in each flower. You can see here the pattern of arrangement of flowers. So here we call it as inflorescence. So in next slide we can learn detail about the inflorescence. What do you mean by inflorescence? Inflorescence is nothing but it's a cluster of smaller individual flowers. We call it as florets arranged together on a main axis. So when you see here, you can see the small florets arranged on a main axis. We call it as inflorescence. These are some of the examples of inflorescence. First one, it is an example of a simple inflorescence, and the second one is an example of a compound inflorescence. So the small thing we call it as florets. Inflorescence, there are two types, racemose and cymose. In racemose type of inflorescence, it is categorized into three different parts. That is, main axis will be elongated, main axis will be shortened in racemose type, and main axis will be flattened. So in main axis elongated type, there are many different types of names given to that inflorescence. So we can see each one in detail. So this picture shows the flower arrangement for multiple flowers. So raceme means you can see the main axis will be elongated and the flowers attached to it. Panicle also you can see the main axis will be elongated and you will have the side branches. See, in each picture you can see the arrangement of flowers will be different. So according to their arrangement of the flowers, the name is given as raceme, panicle, corymb, spike, umbel, head, compound umbel, cyme or spadix. And in the arrangement you can see that the older flower will be in the bottom and the younger flowers will be in the top. In raceme type of inflorescence, we can see this. The older flower which blooms first will be in the bottom, and which will be blooming, the younger one will, you can see, in the top of the flower. So in the inflorescence there are many types, and the names given are raceme, spike, catkin, corymb, head, panicle, umbel and cyme. Let us see one by one with examples. The first one is raceme. As already I told, it has the main axis which is elongated, and inside we can see the flowers. So the older flower will be in the bottom region and the younger flower will be in the top. And the example for this is Cisalfina pulchima. You can see here the older flowers in the bottom and the younger buds you can see in the top. And the next one is Dilonyx regia. So when you see this type of inflorescence, it comes under raceme type of inflorescence. Next one is spike. It is also similar to raceme inflorescence. The difference is here you cannot see the stem of the flower. So it is sessile, it is directly attached with the main axis. So example you can see here, Veronica longifolia. You cannot see the stem of the flower, it is directly attached to the main axis. So this kind we call it as spike inflorescence. Next one is catkin inflorescence. It is also similar to raceme type. You can see here with a small stem, the flowers will be, the florets we say here, it is attached to the main axis. So the example of catkin is Acalipha hispedia. The next one is spikelet. Here you can see the bract. For each inflorescence, you can see here floret. You can see the bract and the flower inside. So the example for this is the common thing which we have in our plate, that is Oryza sativa, rice and wheat. So here the inflorescence is spikelet. Next one is spadix. Here you will have the spadix. You have the spathe. Example for this, corn. It also comes under spadic inflorescence. And anthurium and rhea, it also comes under this spadic inflorescence. So it is not a single flower, it is an inflorescence. And next one is panicle. Panicle, you can see the main axis elongated with the side branches. The same thing. Example is a most common thing which we all say is the moringa. Moringa oleifera. The inflorescence comes under this panicle inflorescence. The next one is corymb. Here the main axis will be elongated, and see, you can see the stem, it will be arranged. So the flowers will be in a position, same position. So example here is Hydrangea macrophylla. You can see like an umbrella-like structure, corymb. And the next one is umbel. This inflorescence also you can see the main axis will be elongated, and at the top you will have the other florets attached to the main axis. Example is allium. Allium sapa you can see here. And this is the compound type of inflorescence. So this type we call it as umbel inflorescence. The next one is head. Here in the head region you can see the flowers get attached to the main axis. They don't have a different stem which will be attached to the main axis. It is attached directly with the main axis at the head region. Okay, so here we call this type of inflorescence as head inflorescence, and the example for this is sunflower, Helianthus anus, and the thing you can see here inflorescence Gerbera hybrida. So inside you can see the disc floret. This one we call it as an ray floret, the colored one. And cymose inflorescence. So till now we see about the racemose inflorescence, and now we are going to learn about the cymose inflorescence. What's the difference between them is, here the main axis does not grow continuously. A flower will be present terminally on the main axis, and the flowers are born in a basipetal order. The main axis is limited growth. You can see here as an example. So in the terminal region you will be having one flower, and from that region you can see another flowers blooming. So first one is monoecial cyme. The example is Heliotrophium indicum. Dicacial cyme, here the example is jasmine. Polycacial cyme, here the example is Calotropis. gigantea, and Nerium oleander. Here you can see the terminal portion will be branched out to form the flowers, to hold the flowers. That's the difference between racemose and cymose inflorescence. Cymose head, here comes the example, Celosia cristata. Okay. Apart from this racemose and cymose inflorescence, we also have some mixed inflorescence. Example are Ixora, Cymose corymb, and the banana flower, that is mixed spadis, Musa paradisea, and Allium species also comes under Cyme umbel. And there are some special inflorescence out there. Cyanthemum inflorescence, this is Euphorbia pulcherrimia, it comes under the special inflorescence. Verticilliaster inflorescence is there. Example is Tulsi, there is Oxymum tenuiform. So the arrangements will be different. It does not comes under racemose, it does not comes under cymose also. The arrangements will be different here. Hypanthodium inflorescence, example is Ficus hirta, and Synanthium inflorescence, example is Dorsitenia fetida. So these are the different types of inflorescence. Hope you all understood about this. So inflorescence means a main axis which holds the single floret, and according to the arrangement it's differentiated into racemose, cymose, mixed inflorescence, and there are also some special inflorescences there. So single flower means it will have a stem that we call as pedicel which holds the flower, but in inflorescence it will be having a main axis to which the flowers are attached. Here the single flower we call it as florets in inflorescence. Hope you all understood about this class. Now you will be able to differentiate a single flower and inflorescence. So when you go out in your home, when you come to see a flower in the road or in any exhibition, if you see, you can clearly differentiate whether it is a flower or an inflorescence. Hope you all understood about this. Thank you. Thank you for your listening and happy learning. Stay connected with BioWonders to learn more about the scientific facts. Thank you.